What's up, guys? As I said last week, I managed to get an interview with Justin, so I'm very thankful to him for taking some time out from his busy schedule to have a chat with me and chat through some of the queries and questions I had, along with obviously you guys, the subscribers. So I managed to get a lot of your questions to him, and it's quite a long interview. I think it's over kind of an hour period, but hopefully you get some value from it. So let's go.
Hello, Luke.
Hey, Justin, how you doing?
Good man. How are you? Sorry,
Yeah.
I was on the Google thing waiting for you and thinking, what's he doing? Like, I'm sure he's not the kind of guy that's going to be late for this thing. And then I was like, oh, hang on. Yeah, we moved it. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to waste your time. You've been really busy of late, haven't you? Trying to finish this
Yeah,
beginner course off.
it is. Yeah, I'm renovating my house, but I have to move out for it. So
Oh,
uh, the family are moving into a small little, a pretty small little flat, and then yeah, I have to pack the studio down. I haven't figured out where I'm working yet, so it's like I've got to get yeah, I've got to get this beginner's course finished off. I've got the last one. I've got 4 lessons to film today and 3 or 4 left to edit that I filmed that I haven't edited yet. So be a busy weekend, and from next week it's a pack down.
what's the big changes then with this course now?
Oh shit, huge. It's been so do you want the whole backstory, or do you just want like the quick one?
I don't know, whatever you want to. I don't mind. I'm just interested because I read a bit on your site, and it sounded like you changed the emphasis a bit, like you shortened the videos down, and now you're putting more of an emphasis on songs. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of. So
Oh.
um 2 years ago, I started looking at the old videos and feeling a bit self-conscious about them, thinking that they just looked a bit old and square, and it was all like, man, I need to redo this. So I started thinking about like, what can I do to make it better? So I spent probably took about 2 months, not quite full time, but most of my time going through all of the YouTube comments, all of the forum comments, every bit of feedback I could get on the course.
Yeah.
And I kind of came to the conclusion that the structure that I had for that, where I had like stage 1, stage 2, and I presented a bunch of stuff, which I kind of left then for the students to try and figure out what to do with that stuff each lesson. And I gave some suggested songs, but sometimes the songs were a bit broad, or sometimes they didn't fit the kind of the path as well. So what I decided to do was to try and break it down into much more defined lessons, exactly the same as what I do if someone was coming for a one-on-one. So like in the first lesson, rather than trying to teach them 3 chords, I teach them 2 chords, and I show them some songs that they can do that just use those 2 chords. I slowed the progression of the rhythm right down, and then I made sure that each of the lessons had very specific songs that worked well with the stuff that we were doing in that lesson, so that there's like, here's 10 songs, these are exactly the stuff that fits this lesson, so pick one of them and then work on it. But then the real fun part was I started testing it to try and figure out if it was going to work, and then I came across this idea of learning myself left-handed
I
to
saw, yeah, I've
test
seen those, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So that was kind of revelationary for me, because actually I changed loads of stuff, because a lot of things that I thought were going to be really easy weren't. And I was like, yeah, they can do like a hammer on with a little finger, like a sus chord. It was like, no, you can't. That's like, oh my God, you can't, you know.
Yeah.
So I then changed loads of stuff on the beginner's course. To the way I did it basically was, and I'm just at the end of it, like I said, there is I wrote what I was pretty sure would be the structure beforehand. And then I practiced for 2 weeks with left-handed stuff, trying to make sure that I could get all of the stuff. I would then make adjustments to the course. And then I'd spend 1 week filming, editing, and producing the course, writing all of the lesson stuff. And then I'd release it. And as it was being released, I would be doing the next 2 weeks of left-handed practice. And so all of the way through it's taken just over a year to do grade 1 and grade 2. I've been doing this left-handed practice and trying to figure out like using that to inform the classes. And I really think it made it so much better, because I really understood, like when I'm teaching you stuff and I'm saying, hey man, you're probably going to struggle with that. I know, because like last week I was totally struggling with it. You know, it was a really interesting journey as a teacher to learn new stuff, to improve my teaching game. I think a lot better.
Oh, I think
There
it's
was
a
some
great
other
idea.
changes.
To be fair to you, I mean, obviously it's probably been a while since you've been a beginner, so going back to that is going to be helpful for everyone. Yeah, really good approach.
Huge. So yeah, there were some other things like and I'm having this funny debate right now actually about the ear training stuff, because statistically most people didn't do the ear training.
No, I really struggle with it.
Like nine out of 10 people were just like, yeah, this is real hard. I'm not really getting on with it.
Yeah.
And so they ended up just leaving it. So what I decided to do now is I've pulled all of that ear training stuff out of the course. And now there's an ear training module that you do at the end of each grade. So you do grade 1, which is like 8 easy chords and basic 8th note strumming and all of that sort of stuff. And then at the end, if you want, there's a guitar maintenance module, which is more about like how to set up your guitar and about strings and that sort of stuff, and an ear training module and a music theory module. And you don't have to do them to do the course, but like at the end of that grade, while you're consolidating, because I do recommend that everyone consolidates after learning new things. Like if you learn a bunch of stuff, it's much better to spend some time really making that foundation solid rather than learning new stuff straight away. So while you're doing that, if you want to keep doing new things, then you can do the music theory module and the ear training module and that's kind of, that was part of that restructuring in my mind as to how that would work best. So yeah, the feedback so far seems to be overwhelmingly positive. A lot of people have gone back and redone the beginner's course there were a few other things, like the way I teach G chord is different now, and I think it's loads better. And again, that was part of that knit sudge thing. And well, I've been teaching now for an extra 10 years or 12 years or something from those early videos, and I feel like I've got better as a teacher and better at the online delivery thing, because those beginner videos were one of the first things that I did, and well, maybe not the first, but they were pretty early on still, and I feel like I've got better. I bloody hope I've got better after 10 years of doing it. If I haven't, I should really, give myself a slap.
Well, I've found them really valuable. I'll be interested to know if you've had much of an uptake through your site, just obviously during this kind of pandemic. Have you had a lot more people go through?
Yeah, 3 times more.
Wow.
So everything multiplied by 3, which was great. And it was really good for selling stuff, courses and apps and things, and for donations as well. It's been really good. It's crested now, so it's kind of it's coming down a bit, but it looks like it's stabilizing higher than it was before. So it's like it's gone up, come down a bit, but now it's kind of leveling out about twice as high probably as before. So the numbers wise, it's really good. The great thing about it is that it was exactly at the time where I was looking at redeveloping a lot of stuff on the site, to realign things now with the grade system and the way it's working, and prepare for the next stage. 2021 is good. 2020 was beginner's year, right? So it's all just been about beginner stuff. When I figure out where to move my studio to, I'm going to refilm most of the beginner songs that you might encounter in the course to make sure they align perfectly with the structure. And then 2021 is all going to be about intermediate level stuff. So it's all going to be your bar chords, improvising, blues stuff. So it's going to be a bit more, and the new rock course, and 2021 is going to be more there. So the fact that I had this explosion in numbers and it poured in a bit more bucks enabled me to I've pretty much invested the whole lot into a redesign of the site, which we're through the first stage of developing the redesign, and we're tweaking it now in the development server.
Yeah,
it basically just looks better, and it lines up with the practice assistant thing, which is probably you haven't seen. I'm not sure if you've been using the practice assistant, but
I just actually tried it last week. I set up a schedule using it, and I found it really, really good actually. Just running through that, you had the metronome, and then obviously the timer, the duration that you could put on it. I found it really useful. Yeah,
I think for beginners now, that people doing the course for the first time, that can just click on a button and it gives them their practice schedule, what they should be doing, times, it keeps their statistics, all of that sort of stuff is pretty cool. Like the feedback on it's really good. It is, however, we know right now a bit clumsy to use to if you programmed your own thing, you'll know it's a little bit of a pain to do it. There's just like a few too many steps. You got to make the schedule and then put the things in and then move them up and down and trying to, it's a bit clumsy. So part of this redevelopment is redesigning that practice assistant to make it like dead easy to use. and yeah, incorporating that more into the course so that it's kind of seamless, that it remembers where you are in the course. So if you log in on your computer or your phone, it knows, hey, Luke was halfway through lesson 2, here it is. Or Luke should be practicing today, so it'll flash up, hey man, it's practice time, this is what you should be doing. So it's we're kicking it up a gear now, which has been super exciting. And yeah, kind of thankful for the coronavirus in a funny way, because it enabled me to fund that kind of development, which I wouldn't have been able to afford without it, frankly.
Sure, yeah, that's really cool. One of my
Yeah.
subscribers actually asked about, you know how your interfaces your app with your site? Sometimes it doesn't, I don't think you've got the same amount of content through your app, and it doesn't always line up. If you're progressing, it doesn't line up if you went back to your web-based kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this was, well, there are a heap of reasons for that. The main one, the reason it doesn't line up now is because the way that I was doing the new beginner course thing with this learning for the left-handed stuff and then tweaking stuff as I went through, it meant that if I'd done it with the app would have also been not fully formed when people bought it. And that was kind of a bit weird. Yeah. And I kept changing stuff all the time, which would have upset the developers pretty badly. So the point of that really was, we've kept the app on the old classic, what I call the classic beginners course, the one that you did.
Yeah.
So the app follows that along pretty much the same. And we're actually as well, there's a lot going on, man. We've redeveloped the app as well. That's in testing mode, where in fact, we're just inviting beta testers. So if you fancy checking out the new one of that, in the next couple of days, there's going to be an alert at the top of the website inviting beta testers for the new app. It looks amazing, like unbelievably better. It looks a lot like the new site will look like when we launch that in a couple of months. And as well, instead of using that kind of clunky MIDI backing track, we've done a deal with like a karaoke company. So we've got like super slick, real band, real singers.
Oh, cool. That'd be really good.
So that when you're playing along with it, it's not that clunky piano playing the melody or whatever. It sounds like the band. You know, it's such an amazing step up. So we've been working on that for way more than a year. Because that's the app development started at the same time as me redeveloping the beginners course. So it's been like, there's been so much behind the scenes development, and it's all coming up for like late October, November this year. It's all going to be like loads of super new stuff explodes, which we're super excited about.
That's really cool. So did you get a breather at any point? I guess, well, this beginner.
Yeah, well, I'm taking a breather so I've got this like crazy day today, and probably I'll have to work tomorrow as well, a little bit on early next week to finish off lesson 14. But then I'm going to I'm probably going to need at least a month off, because I have to pack down like my entire house, all of my studio. I'm building a little mobile studio that you could probably see in the background. I've got a camper now in a rack with an audio interface that I'll move from here. And I've built this like a big long box that houses like the lights and the light stands and the mics and all of that stuff. So basically I'm probably going to end up just like renting a recording studio somewhere for a week, move all my stuff into it, film every day for a week, and then pack it all up, move it back home, and then edit the videos from home. I think that's what I'm going to do for the next few months. But before I get to that, I'm definitely I need a month off or something, because I've been working like really hard this year. It's been a pretty full on, much harder work than I probably want, you know.
But it was, it sounds like it's. I was going to.
But it's good. I don't want to. You know, at the end of the day, it's a really cool job to have. You know, it's like a job. It's like I muck around in my studio playing guitar all day. It's not like, you know, I don't have a proper job still. You know, I've always.
Oh yeah, it's got to be.
I got to point that out. You know,
it's a great way to earn a living, I think. Yeah, I had a couple of questions actually. I was going to talk about, like, when I finished the classic beginner course, I felt I really wanted to learn a lot more songs, and to be honest, I've kind of got stuck in that kind of mode of trying to learn songs, but I haven't learned enough to feel like I want to go through the intermediate course. Does that make sense? Because I wanted to put an emphasis on that, and I don't think I've really pushed on with my playing. But now I've got more of an idea about the style that I want to play. Do you think I should for someone similar in my position, where you're thinking about the type of guitar player you want to be, is it still worth going through the intermediate, or is it worth picking and mixing with what you think you want to be? Does that make sense?
So, yeah, great question. So the way it kind of works like it now on my site, but it needs to be clearer and better, which is what's going to be improving next year. So it sounds like you're just in a good time for doing this. Let me backtrack for a second, though. The learning loads of songs is kind of the point, usually. Like, nobody goes to see people play scales or arpeggios or whatever, or, you know, you don't go to a gig and watch somebody do their ear training, right? You want to hear songs. That's kind of the point. So after the beginner stages, I think it's really important that you spend quite a lot of time consolidating that open chords, strumming, being able to play lots of songs, learning riffs, real basic improvisation, that kind of stuff. It wants to be real solid before you move on to the next stage. And for some people, that will be enough, right? Like, I know loads of guys that don't know how to play bar chords, that have been playing guitar for a long time, but they play what they know really well. And that is a lot more useful and fun than always being a struggler, like always trying to struggle onto this new thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, because I go to parties and barbecues or whatever, and occasionally people don't know I play guitar, which is really kind of fun. And there might be a guitar there and people play, you know, and it's really cool that the people that I enjoy listening to the most as a non-guitar player or whatever are the guys who can play a bunch of the open chords, and they can play really good rhythm, and they can play and sing songs that people want to get involved with and play and listen to. And that's really nice. That's such a cool thing to have as a bag. I'd much rather that than some guy who's been playing for 20 years trying to show everyone that he can half play a Joe Satriani song 10 times slower than the original record. You know what I mean? It's
absolutely.
It kind of feels like it's not the point. So a lot of that is down to what your goals are and what you want to do. And I feel like at the end of the beginner thing should be a period of consolidation, as well as thinking about where you go and what it is that you want to do. Like, what's the point here? What am I just playing for myself? Because, like, I know lawyers and, you know, like people who are working super hard during the day in super stressful jobs. Maybe not lawyers. Let's pick on stockbrokers or something, or accountants. You're doing this like really technical, difficult job, and at the end of the day, you want to come and play guitar to chill out from all of that and not have to think about those things.
Yeah.
Now, that guy probably doesn't want to get involved with music theory and ear training and doing complicated scales or modes or whatever. He just wants to play songs that he likes and have a good time. So I kind of feel like for that guy, it's less important to be thinking about progression and trying to push through to do these new things. It's just about doing stuff that's fun. Because guitar, we play guitar, we shouldn't work guitar. And it's really important that we kind of keep in that mode that it should be fun. Even when it gets technical, even when you're pushing through to do new technical things, I think it's important that we find things that we love doing and that we enjoy doing, because that's what keeps us playing guitar. If you start really focusing on stuff that you don't enjoy, there's a really high giving up chance because you just get like, oh, I'm not going to, I've had a hard day at the work today. I'm not going to go and practice guitar because it's like work. It's like another thing. So I feel like the important part is figuring out what it is that you want, and then figuring out the things that are really enjoyable on the guitar, so that when you look at the guitar, it becomes this thing that you really want to do. And that becomes the important part, rather than it being this chore that you feel like you have to do scales with the metronome, for 5 minutes, oh God, like I hate this,
Yeah.
That's the part.
Yeah, I agree. On a personal level, I've just started to think about what I'm interested in. This is why for exactly the reasons you've mentioned, I've held off on the intermediate course, really going through it, because I kind of want to play kind of like Hendrix style, Mayer, Clapton, just kind of, and Frusciante. Those are kind of guitarists that are kind of influencing me, and that's where my interest lies.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's all kind of self-directed learning, I'm not sure how to approach. Obviously, I can learn this song, so that's an obvious one. But is there any way that I can concentrate on techniques that they use to push my playing along. So if I organise like a practice schedule, obviously I'll try and play through their songs and I'll learn those as I go. But is there any like, what techniques would you recommend I sort of focus down on to sort of improve? Yeah.
So the gap between beginner and that kind of blues rock kind of classic material, there's a few things that are really important that you're going to have to get down. One is bar chords. You're going to have to learn to play bar chords. That's just like, that's a thing. And it's for most, so my division between beginner and intermediate really centers around bar chords and playing further up the neck. The beginner period is mostly in that open position, open chords, and then you learn F and a few others or whatever down there. But the intermediate thing is more about playing further up the neck and learning about root notes, notes on the neck, bar chords, those kind of things. So there's going to be a period where you kind of have to get involved with that, where you have to just conquer it. It's tricky. Most people, I hated learning bar chords too. My left-handed self is totally not looking forward to trying to play, you know, an A-shaped major bar chord because it's really difficult, you know. So you want to spend probably a bit of time. I'm only going to talk about my material, not because my website's the only place you can get this, but that's obviously the one that I'm connected to. So I know where things are, right? So, but like the way my site works at the moment is that you have these intermediate foundation stages, which are how to play bar chords basically, and how 16th note strumming works. They're the two kind of levels up from the beginner thing. Although I've touched on 16th note strumming in the new beginners course a little bit. So that would be the next stage of stuff to learn. And that's important. No matter what it is that you want to play, you're going to need to dabble in bar chords. If you want to play John Mayer songs or Chili Peppers or Clapton songs, you're going to have to deal with bar chords. So that's like the way I structure it, and the way the new one will be structured as well is kind of similar. I'm going to mix bar chords a little bit more condensed in the first part of the intermediate course, but you need to deal with that. After that, you're going to get more into exploring different styles, because pretty much every step up above beginner level stuff, no matter what style you want to play, is going to involve bar chords, because you're going to encounter F sharp minor, you're going to encounter B minor, you're going to, like, there's hardly any songs that you can play. No, that's complete bollocks. There are millions of songs that you can play.
Yeah.
Just easy open chords. But there are also millions of songs that you're going to have to learn bar chords for. So once you've got bar chords, you can kind of play any song, right? So that's the step that for me. Now, other things that are going to be really important is stuff like string bending. You're going to have to learn pentatonic scales. You're going to have to learn string bending. One of the things that I'm trying to do in the new intermediate course, which I'm planning now, but I haven't started doing the lefty practice on yet, I'm just in the planning stages of structuring it, is going to be this idea of how here's a technique, here's a bunch of songs that use that technique that you might like.
Yeah.
So for like string bending, I teach it at the moment in a classic blues kind of a context, which is great. But there are people that aren't going to want to play Albert King, B.B. King, blah, 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 but they might want to play John Mayer songs or Eric Clapton. They might want to play Wonderful Tonight, which is actually a great example, where you've got that little lead line, which is relatively simple, but it's got a string bend in it. So you need to learn the correct technique for doing a string bending, because if you do it wrong, it's really, really difficult. And if you do it right, it's really difficult when you start, but after like a week or two, it's actually quite possible. Whereas if you do it wrong, it'll be really impossible for months and months, right? Until you stumble upon the right way to do it. So string bending will be a really big one. Learning to develop tone is also one of those things where at the moment I don't cover it at all, but the plan is to do it quite a lot more on that. Like, if you're going to play like Eric Clapton, how do you get a sound going like that? Like, what are the things to think about? How does he use, you know, crunch or gain? How much is too much? You know, what's the difference between Stevie Ray Vaughan's sound and John Mayer's sound and Eric Clapton's sound, and how are they different? And why have they done it differently? You know, that's something that I want to incorporate more into the course as well, because, well, people need it, and it's something I get asked about all the time. So that's the part of the plan. Whether I actually fruit it or not is to get some like guitar presets, Kemper presets, probably some other, like maybe the line 6 thing, what's it called, the Helix. So I'm going to try and get some templates done for the most of the major kind of manufacturers, so that what people have got generally have got, they can dial in a rough, you know, kind of a
Sounds
sound.
awesome. Yeah, that sounds really good, actually. I use the guitar myself. I'm still getting to grips with it and developing and finding out tones with that. So that'd be really interesting to, to see that. Definitely.
Yeah. So that's kind of, that's kind of how I see it. They're really, you know, I'm not trying to do myself out of a gig here, but I'm not the only one that has this, like, I'm not a monopoly on learning guitar, right? There are lots of guys out there delivering really good stuff, particularly now. It's really exploded in the last couple of years. It used to be there were lots of people doing pretty crappy lessons and only a few people doing good ones, in my opinion. But now there's a lot more people delivering quality content, which is great. The thing that I try to bring to the party here that I don't feel like other people maybe do as carefully or whatever is the structured, like a realistic structured program where I can go, look, here's what I think is a good way to progress from here to here. And that's not to say that you shouldn't supplement it with other things or that other methods don't work, but I use this grade system, which is karate colors. And I've been interested in martial arts most of my life. I haven't been practicing for quite a while now, just because I've been too busy. But one of there are lots of similarities between martial arts and guitar, which I find kind of interesting. The repetition, the importance of repetition, the importance of understanding what you're doing, the important, progression, having goals that you set along the way, all of those things. But one of the biggest ones, I feel, is this sticking to a program that works for you, that you connect with. And that's kind of why I feel like my system is good, in that you can jump on at the beginner level and you can go right the way through and get to be really good. And the similarity would be if you started in martial arts and you did a little bit of karate and a little bit of ninjutsu, a little bit of jujitsu, a little bit of judo, a little bit of this, you probably end up just really confused, because each of the systems, they still get you to the point where you can kick ass at the end. But the systems are so different that if you try and follow all of them at once, you'll just end up confused about what the right way is to block a punch, like a simple thing. Whereas, and the same in the guitar thing, if you try and do this sort of strumming and that chord approach and this system for doing that, you can end up just getting a bit overwhelmed and confused about what the right thing is to do at one point. And that's kind of why I tried,
Yeah, I mean, when I was playing through, that's what made it a lot easier for me, because I could pick up the guitar and I haven't got to think what I've got to learn. So for me, it makes it easier to build a habit, because you jump straight on, you know where you were last time, you can just pick up. Yep. So yeah, it makes it a lot better. Because I guess a lot of people, they tend to, well, I don't know how many, but learn on YouTube, and then you end up jumping from one lesson and you see something else catches your eye. And I mean, I've done it.
There's a lot of people that do that, and it's like, I don't know, I don't like to knock other systems or other ideas, because I think there's a lot of value in it. And like I said, there's a lot of people doing quality stuff right now, but the danger of doing stuff just on YouTube is the distraction factor. Like, people have nailed that shit, man. Like the how to make a really clicky title and thumbnail is what YouTube is now about.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've just employed a channel management company to take over that stuff from me, because I don't like it and I don't like doing it and I'm not very good at it, and I don't want to invest my time in doing clicky thumbnails and all of that sort of stuff. So the way it's kind of gone now is that if you're on YouTube and you're watching a lesson about how to play a G chord, in the slide there is this whole plethora of videos and thumbnails and titles which are designed to take your attention from what you should be doing. It's more often than not shit that is not related. Sorry, I've sworn a couple of times. I hope that's okay on your video.
No,
or just out. Sorry, I'm not normally like that. But anyway, there's this thumbnail like, I don't know, 10 things you didn't know about Stratocasters, number 9 will amaze you, or whatever. And they're just like, you don't need to be doing that right now while you're supposed to be practicing your chords, right? That's like, it's just there to distract you. Or like, all of those things are designed to get your attention. And people, I've read a lot about it. I've kind of had a period, year and a half ago or whatever, before this beginner thing took over my life, where I was thinking about studying it to try and up my game on that thing. But it's just so, I don't know, underhand, I guess. It's like, you know,
there's a bit of
I
that.
just
I
don't
mean,
like it.
I guess it's marketing, online marketing.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of it. I've got a blog, and I write about bits that I can write about that I've learned. But I've seen other blogs, and they mislead people as well in a similar kind of fashion. Not mislead, well, sometimes mislead, but
Yeah.
clickbaity, effectively, like getting people to read something. And it's the same in YouTube. But that, yeah, like you're right, that's the nature of the way it is now, to get somebody interested in seeing your video, and then YouTube just want people to stay on the system, and you know, that's the way it kind of operates. But
it's this funny thing that I have, like, and the way I'm doing it now is I've actually got 2 videos up for each lesson. So one is the one that's on the website, which is straight ahead, this is what you get, this is the right stuff. And then the other ones, which are public on YouTube, which get released, which are more, they'll have a title that is not what it is. Like, but I kind of get it. Like, so if it's a video about how to play the A minor pentatonic scale, and I call the video A minor pentatonic position 1, right? Nobody's going to click on that video. Whereas if I call the same video, essential scale for beginner blues guitar players, which it also is, then it's going to get a lot more clicks. So it's one of those things, like I resisted it for a long time, and I just called the videos what they were, but it was probably to my channel's detriment, to be fair, because I just didn't want to get involved with that side of marketing things. Like, it's like, I'm the guitar teacher, I'll just call it what it is, and if people like it, they'll come and watch it, you know. Now, yeah, now I'm happy to change tactic a little bit on that, otherwise I'm just going to get drowned in the mud, you know. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's kind of the thing on that you'll get on the website as well, is you won't get any of that. So I don't call things on the website that. I call it on the website, it is, here's the A minor pentatonic, it's part of this series of stuff, you should go through it sequentially and then practice it until you've got it ready, and then do the next lesson. It's the good thing for me about the website, is that I just don't have to pander to any of that stuff.
yeah,
you know?
yeah, you can just be yourself and concentrate on the guitar, so that's great. What, this is an interesting one. I had a question here from like someone saying, what do you think about the infamous 1 year milestone when people tend to quit? Is it 1 year? Is it like 6 months, or what do people, do you see a drop off of use, or do you monitor that? I don't know.
I wasn't able to monitor it very well until quite recently, when we started using this tag manager thing on the site to look at where people go on the site, to kind of clock when they come in, where they stop visiting, and where they drop off, and how long they stay with the program or whatever. A lot of it is to do with this thing that I talked about earlier, about consolidating and feeling like you're always trying to go, like, if you don't, it's really hard to get somewhere if you don't know where you are and where it is that you want to get to.
Yeah,
so definitely. I liken it often to, like, people end up in the, I've just finished beginners field, and they wander around in that field, looking at new stuff and exploring new things in that field. and eventually they come back to they wander around until they end up back at the place where they started from, and then feel like they haven't got anywhere because they're back where they started from. Now, they have been places, but it doesn't feel like it because they've just been wandering around. So this is all part.
Yeah.
So the solution for that is to decide on these little goals and go, right, what is it that I want to do? What's the point of all this guitar malarkey? Why am I bothering with all of this expense and time to do this thing? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So you might decide, well, hey, I really wanted to get into blues. That's what I really wanted to play, like Eric Clapton on the Beano record. So if that's the thing, then you go, well, this is my goal here. Now, where am I exactly on the map? And again, this is part of the reason I've got the grade system and the way that I'm structuring this linear kind of course. So you can go, well, I'm here, and where I want to get to is over here. What are the things between here and there that I have to do? Well, here's the things between here and there that I've got to try and do. So I'm trying to make a map of it so that you can decide to go on a journey. Now, you don't have to stay there, right? You don't have to decide for your whole life you're going to go to blues. It might just be a vacation. You might be on the road to blues and go, I'm starting to feel a bit tired of the blues thing. I need to get inspired again. I'm going to go for a holiday over to acoustic fingerstyle for a bit and see what it's like over there. And then you might veer off into acoustic fingerstyle. But at least at every point, you've got a goal of somewhere that you're going to. And then you're going to go and check that out. And then you might do fingerstyle for a few months. And then you go, oh man, I love acoustic fingerstyle. Screw the blues. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to pack up my apartment. I'm going to move to acoustic fingerstyle. So then you stay there for a bit, but you might get bored of that and go somewhere else. But so long as you know where you are and where you want to go to, you don't run the risk of this wandering around aimlessly, looking at random YouTube videos, not really knowing what it is that you want to do, and ending up where you started and feeling a bit frustrated. So I feel like that's the most likely cause of the big drop-off, is people not setting goals, not thinking about what they want to do, or thinking about where they are.
So you kind of follow your interest and you're sticking with it.
Yeah.
Is there a kind of, you probably can't, but put a time on how long you should stick with something for a minimum kind of period before you move on, or just go when you feel like you're interested?
Exactly. I feel like it wants to be when you stop enjoying it, you should start to look for something else to go to check out for a bit. So, right. I mean, I'm a little bit concerned for the state of the planet, without wanting to sound like a ridiculous old man. Attention for people generally is waning. Like, I was talking to this producer the other day about records, and like when I grew up, I used to get really excited for a record coming out. Like, I remember when Brothers in Arms came out, and it was like the most exciting thing ever. And I bought the record and I didn't listen to another record for months. And I used to listen to like the whole record over and over again. And I was really into it. And now kids don't even listen to a whole song often. It's like, let alone listening to a whole album, you struggle to get their attention for a song.
Wow.
So I kind of worry that people, when they're learning guitar now, that they're going to struggle to focus on staying somewhere for long enough to get the benefit out of it. But that's a bigger question and a bigger thing that, again, I'm hopeful that maybe this, using my practice assistant and stuff, the point of all of that is to try and help people focus in on their thing and log in their statistics to try and it's gamifying it a little bit, which is something that, hopefully will help keep their attention. But it is, it's a challenge that the world is having now, not just guitar players. I think pretty every.
Oh yeah, it's the same, isn't it? Sometimes I heard like there's an attention span, what was it, 7 seconds on YouTube, and then someone was saying on Instagram it's like 1 second or 2 seconds or something. So it's certainly going that way. Yeah, but I guess if you really want to learn it, you're going to stick with it. But it's just keeping them. I mean, your site's really good for it. It keeps them in there, and there's so much to discover and you kind of learn. But yeah, if you're on YouTube, you can just jump around all day and just never really learn anything.
It's just this funny rabbit hole. Like, I enjoy the rabbit hole of YouTube occasionally. Like, I treat it just like I would treat television or some other. Like, if I've got nothing to do, daughter's asleep, missus is busy doing some work thing or something, and I've got some time to myself and I don't feel like working, I might go on a YouTube rabbit hole. Just in like, there's no films around that I want to see, or I don't fancy reading a book. I'll go into YouTube and I'll explore some random thing that I might like. It might be music. It might be like the history of the blues, or I wonder if there's videos of Robert Johnson. Of course there's not, but I don't know. Like, what are the earliest videos I can find of blues guitar players? But it might veer off into looking at pictures of resonators, and then it might be resonator guitars, and it might be the type of woods that make guitar necks or whatever, and I might go all over the place,
Yeah.
But it's a specific distraction. It's a thing that I'm doing, and I wouldn't do that when I was practicing or focusing on transcribing for work or whatever. It's not like, I don't know. I've kind of gone off on a bit of a tangent there, but I think that the safest approach is to treat all of those things as a little time block instead of letting them rule of life. Like yeah, I don't want to go too deep into this, but I'm really big on time limiting things. So like if I go on Instagram now, I set the timer on my phone for 10 minutes, and I've got 10 minutes to go into Instagram and have a look at what's going on. And then when the little beeper goes off, I get out straight away, because it is so easy to lose an hour doing that. And I've got too much stuff going on in my life. If I've got a spare hour, I would much rather spend it with my daughter playing Lego than I would looking at Instagram, looking at some bloody screen about, you know, and getting, you know, FOMO and worrying about what other people are doing. And you know, that I just don't like, I feel like life's got more stuff.
Do you actually enjoy using things like Instagram, or is it just the nature of what you have to do as part of?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I kind of see the appeal of it, but I don't like. I just don't care about like getting likes and followers and all. Even on YouTube, like I'm happy that I've got like a ton of subscribers, but I really don't like. And I celebrated having 1 million subscribers. That was like a cool milestone or whatever. But I really just I don't care. Like my channel management people are going like, dude, like you got to think about this stuff, and you know, and I don't want to slip into. I don't want to get overtaken by all of the clickbait stuff, because I feel like I've got something of value to offer people. But yeah, I'm not really. I do it, but I'm not that. I don't need to post a video of myself playing something on Instagram for people to go, oh man, you're so good at doing that. Like, you know, I feel happy and confident and content in myself. I don't need the ego stroke of it, or I don't know. And I'm not saying that everyone does it for that reason either. So I don't want to sound like I'm being critical of people who are into it. Just like,
yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, question I had here. Do you think, I don't know if you'd agree, do you think that if you're an adult learner, do you feel like you have to tailor your course or the way you teach things to adult learners slightly differently to those who are younger, or is it just the same?
I think the course is the same, but adults have to realize the reality, which is that our brains are not as plastic as they are when you're younger. So this is just like neurological facts. It's not like a thing where old people can feel, oh, kids learn so much faster. Yeah, they do. That's how we grow as human beings, is that early in our life, we have a lot of plasticity in our brain, and that we can control the way neurons fire together and build really strong, I'm not sure what the term is, but all of the synapses can kind of grow in a way that are tailoring our minds for making music and learning music. And when you're older, those things, as you get older, those things, the chemicals or whatever in the brain that allow that to happen easily disappear. Well, not disappear completely, but they get less and less. So it is harder work to learn when you're older. It's just a fact. There's a fantastic book about how the brain works like that, again, it changed my thinking on all of that. The book's called The Brain That Changes Itself. It's an incredible book about neuroplasticity, and it really made me rethink a lot of the developmental side of how I learn and how I would teach. I think the journey's the same, but you just have to be understanding of that. Like, especially if you get, I used to teach when I did one-on-ones a lot of times, like a dad and their son or whatever. And you'd see, like, I'd teach this stuff, and by the end of the lesson, the kid was doing it. And the dad was like going, how on earth, like, it's going to take me 2 weeks to do that. Like, but it's purely to do with music is a language. Everybody knows that if a kids grow up in a bilingual household, they can learn 2 languages dead easy. They don't even have to think about it. They don't have to learn the grammar. They don't have to learn all of that stuff. And a child that grows up bilingual will automatically be able to learn new languages super quickly. So it's just like, it's the way the brain is wired at that early stage. You know, look at Rick Beato's kid, the perfect pitch, Dylan or whatever. You know, that was because he got into his brain when it was still super plastic, and was able to mold it in a way that made that kind of learning really good. And that kid's going to be a freakily amazing musician if he chooses to follow that career. Are
you going to do the same? Are you going to do the same with? You've got a daughter, have you? You've got a daughter.
I've got a daughter. She's I don't know. I've got Rick's thing. I'm definitely my family thing is a bit more private. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
I agreed with my missus that, you know, Vivi's on the cover of my children's uke book, but I don't feel like I want her to get involved with YouTube until she's old enough to have a say in deciding whether she wants to be involved with that stuff. I'm not entirely sure ethically I'm hip with that whole thing. But anyway, like that's a whole another thing. But we're already, she's already playing guitar. Like, she can play ukulele a little bit. She can play like C, F, and G on the ukulele. She doesn't strum in time and play the chords at the same time yet, but she can do either one, which is really interesting. So if I play the chords, she can strum in time and we play songs together, like Wheels on the Bus or Incy Wincy Spider or whatever. And she can play the chords if I strum, but for some reason she's not doing the two together. But shit, she's 4, man. Like, when I was 4, you know, the ukulele was more likely to be a cricket bat than a
yeah. Yeah, because I've got my oldest daughter's 4 actually. I tried getting her to play a bit of the guitar, and I think she just like wants to start putting unicorns inside it. So that's about
No, ukulele, mate. Don't start with guitar. It's too big and too complicated. Ukulele, you know, you can play. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm kind of proud of this little video I did for Ukulele for Parents, I called it, or something. And it's basically in 15 minutes, I can show you how to play ukulele, to play all of those simple kid songs. And it came about, this idea, because some of the other parents at my kids' school were saying, hey, are you teaching Vivi ukulele? How are you doing it? Like, how can I learn it? So I did this video for them, and it's working great. Like, I know all of these parents that bought ukuleles that are now playing with their kids ukulele, and instead of having to use whatever it's called, Baby Bump or whatever that YouTube channel is where they have all of those annoying kids songs, you can play them then with your kids. And it's much, again, holistically and on the grand scheme of things, I'd much rather my daughters making music with me than stuck in front of the television singing along or whatever. And by doing that and playing an instrument with your child, they get a bit more vibe on actually doing it. It got to the point where she's like, I want to play it, Dad. And that was the point. Like, I didn't want to try and force her into it. I wanted to inspire her to get into it. And then she practices. You know, she's not going to practice if I'm making her do it.
Is she your practicing assistant though?
No, she's not. Yeah, no, she's not allowed on the laptops yet. No.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions. So, there's one question here. Do you ever sort of cover much like shoegaze kind of music? Because there's someone here. Yeah. So the artists I kind of had here, there was someone asking about how to sort of get what pedals to use for like the bands that I've got here: My Bloody Valentine, Swerve Driver, and Tame Impala.
So I've heard of My Bloody Valentine, but I couldn't name a single song by them.
Yeah.
I've not heard of the other bands. So I totally get that I need to update some of my repertoire of those sort of things. And it's in the last year, I've just been totally focused on this beginner course thing. I haven't put well, maybe there's one. There might be like 2 songs on my songs channel that I've done this year, because I haven't had an opportunity to do it, because, you know, I am a kind of a one-man show. I have a couple of assistants that help me out with different bits of it. But, you know, I film myself in the room that you're seeing right now. I edit the videos myself. I do the audio myself. It is mainly because I'm a control freak, not, you know, I'm learning to kind of let go of some of it. But it's, I know that I need to expand that repertoire, but I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. But I have full intention of trying to get hip with the kids and do a little bit more stuff that I'm not familiar with, because I'm aware that there's some great music around there that I haven't heard. I guess for all of us, you know, I'm in my mid-40s now. It's like the music that I connect with is from a different era to the stuff that the 20-year-olds are. You know, I've got a studio assistant who's 23 or 24, this guy Adam, who did the production course recently, you might have stumbled on. You know, the music that he makes and that he likes is really different to some of it's amazing. You know, some of it I don't connect with because it's I'm an old git, and old gits aren't supposed to like what the new kids like. That's how it works. You know, when the Beatles came out, all of those parents were like, oh, listen to those long-haired music, you know, and it's the same thing, you know.
And you can
Probably when
probably,
she's 16, I'll be learning about the music she listens to, you know.
that's it. But you can often, like, I often see, like, listen to something, you can feel the influence of the song sometimes. And I guess when I was growing up, my dad heard something like that. He goes, "Oh, that's no good. You want to listen to this? They're just trying to copy this, you know." And then go down that route. So.
That's just the progression of music. Like, I will make music on that, but like, I feel a bit, I don't know. I am doing it, and there's plans to do some more of it for the beginners course. But like Taylor Swift, for example, like I can do a Taylor Swift song, and I can probably teach it pretty well, and I can teach you all of this stuff. But it's not like, and actually I respect her as an artist a lot as well. I think she's the real deal. She's a real artist, and she's deserves respect. But I don't feel like I'm going to connect with that song or the person who wants to learn that song as well as what's the girl that does all of that stuff? Guitar Goddess, I think her name might be.
Yeah, I know the one. Yeah.
Yeah. She does that sort of stuff. I've met her a couple of times at NAMM as well. Lovely girl, you know, and I kind of feel like she's better at teaching that song than me. I feel like I could maybe teach it better. Like, my teaching chops are maybe better than hers. I don't mean that in a condescending, nasty way, but like, I feel like I've got more experience teaching, but she connects with the song, and she probably connects with the girl who wants to learn that song way better than me. So, you know, I don't know.
I'd like to see you give it a try.
I've done a couple of Taylor Swift songs. I think I've done Teardrops on My Guitar or something, and I think I had that because I used to have that girl Selena who used to come and sing that stuff with me, and she's younger, so yeah.
Whatever happened to is it Tammy who's learning with you, who's having lessons with you?
Yeah. I still see Tammy. Well, obviously the whole Corona thing kind of ripped a lot of that apart. I still see Tammy regularly, like we're friends or whatever. We haven't been doing the lesson stuff. She's been really busy with her own work stuff, and we'll get back to it. We just haven't had a, you know, I've been super busy with all of this course stuff, and now the moving thing, and now I don't even know where I would film a lesson with her. So it's like I'll figure it out, but I can't give you an answer just now because I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, you know.
Yeah. And the last question I had was, and it kind of leads back to when you were talking about you're updating your intermediate course. Some were saying, I think grade 9 is the grade 9 the final one that you've got. Is it in your advanced course?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
So the what's planned for grade 9, and the reason I haven't started it yet is because I've wanted to build up to it rather than just exploding it.
Yeah.
Although some of that's going to appear next year. It's already kind of planned, and a little bit of it's actually filmed as well. Basically, grade 9 is going to be masterclasses with people doing stuff that I struggle with or that I can't do. And I've got a bunch of teachers. I'm not going to drop the names yet because we haven't filmed it. But there's some like incredible superstar guitar players that have agreed to do courses for grade 9 for the black belt thing. In rock and country and jazz and whatever. So they'll be doing little courses with me. So kind of it'll be like people teaching Justin the black belt stuff, but for you.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming in the black belt area. That's the plan. But again, like I am just so busy right now trying to get that earlier stuff, and I don't feel like I'm in a hurry for it either. Like, you know, there's plenty of things for people to get on with, and if they really want to do some super ninja difficult acoustic guitar, then they can check out Tommy Emmanuel's lessons on TrueFire or you know, whatever. There's plenty of, it's not like there's not enough information on the internet right now. So I'm taking my time and trying to do things really well for the people that are following my courses along. I want them to have a nice structure, and then it's there for everyone who joins at whatever point. But I don't want to finish the beginner course and then spend the next 2 years working on black belt ninja stuff while those beginners have just finished the beginner course going like, hey man, like what am I doing now? Like I've got nothing to do. So I'm trying to do it to update the site incrementally. That's the plan. But there's some pretty exciting things coming up that are I still get excited hanging out with some of these guys, and you know, the fact that they're into what I'm doing and whatever that. Yeah, some of it's like depends on their scheduling and how they feel in a year's time as well. But there's some pretty super cool cats that I'm super excited about, you know, filming with. So
sounds really interesting. Yeah, I look forward to seeing that, and I look forward to getting into that intermediate course as well. Actually, once I'm going to follow this path for a while, but I think I'm going to join it when perhaps you've updated that as well. So that sounds really cool. So yeah.
The thing I'd recommend for you and for anyone else who's kind of waiting for that, like after I finish lesson 4, include the modules that would be in there, some of which I'm going to remake, like the power chords one will be remade. I'm in the middle of redesigning a blues, like a bridging blues one, which will go from beginner to blues lead guitar 1 and blues rhythm guitar 1, which are intermediate modules. So there will be some stuff. I'm not sure I'm going to get it done this year. I'm going to try, but it just depends on how things pan out here. But spend your time consolidating and thinking about this journey stuff. There's a module which I will update probably, but it's already pretty, video stuff is a little bit old and I can probably do it a bit better, but it's called effective practice. And I feel like that is the thing, the missing ingredient for a lot of people, that I probably should retitle it actually, because people, again, as far as marketing goes, effective practice probably isn't the most exciting thing that you're going to read this week, or even probably in the next 10 minutes. But it's about setting goals, trying to figure out where you are and where you're going to get to, and what the options are for designing your own pathway. Because in the current age, it is difficult for us all to decide where it is that we should go. So that's what I'm trying to offer the world of guitar, is here's a path that'll get you from A to B. It's not the only path, but I really care about trying to make it as fun and as entertaining as I possibly can. And that's the best that I can do, you know.
Great. Well, it sounds good to me, and I look forward to getting stuck into that. I did look at that a bit before, but I'm going to obviously tailor what I'm learning now through that. So thanks very much.
Cool.
Just wanted to say a big thank you to you, Justin, for joining me, and also thank you for teaching me to play guitar. It's funny kind of talking to someone who's taught you to play guitar for so long now, and then actually finally getting the chance to talk to them. So yeah, thanks very much. And there's lots of people who follow me and obviously follow you, and you know, really appreciate what you do. So thank you.
Nice one. Well, I really appreciate your feedback as well. Maybe if you've got, if you get time in the near future to have a look at either the new stuff that I'm doing, and or have a look at the new course or the practice assistant. Now's a great time to give me any feedback, because I try to be completely open to the idea that my stuff is not perfect and that it can be improved. So any time I get feedback, I take it on board, and I've got this monster list of things that I'm going to revisit and try and work on to make it better. Because the more feedback I get, the better I can make it. Eventually, hopefully, I'll end up with this thing where the feedback is just, man, it rocks. This is great. You know, that'd be awesome. You know?
Job done. There we go.
Yeah, job done. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Justin.
You're welcome, man. You're very welcome. Lovely to meet you. I enjoyed your videos that I've seen so far. Hope you enjoy the rest of your guitar journey for many years to come.
Cheers, Justin. Thank you. See ya.
Best wishes, man. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
So big thanks to Justin. Obviously, I'm not the best interviewer. I've never really done one. This is the first one I've ever done. But if you've got any other ideas about other people you'd like me to talk to, let me know in the comments below, and we'll see what we can do. Until the next one, cheers.